Good evening, NBA fans. It's Zachariah Bashir on the mic, and today we will be discussing the rough start to the Cavaliers season, the winning streak coming to an inevitable end, and if the Cleveland Cavaliers will be able to win the title when it's all said and done. So without further ado, let's just dive right into the video. In the beginning of the season, just about everyone in the media thought that the Cavs would struggle considering that their star point guard demanded a trade, got what he asked for, and in return the Cavs organization got back a few pieces in Ante Zizic, Jay Crowder, Isaiah Thomas, and a first-round pick from Brooklyn. With the addition of Dwayne Wade, Jeff Green, the remains of Derrick Rose in free agency, and bringing over rookie Cedi Osman, it was inevitable that the slow start was going to happen due to integrating new parts. Fast forward to the start of the season, just 7 games in, the Cavs were playing lackluster while ultimately underperforming for the first couple of games, which led them to have the worst record in the East. As the season progressed, the team regressed. Yes, the Cleveland Cavaliers, led by LeBron James, were 11th in the Eastern Conference with a record of just 5-7 through the first 12 games. Here's a list of the teams the Cavs have lost to during this stretch. The Atlanta Hawks, who traded everyone except for Dennis Schroeder and Kent Bazemore. The dysfunctional New York Knicks that let Porzingis and Tim Hardaway have a field day. The Brooklyn Nets without their 2 best players and leading scorers, which are Jeremy Lin and Sir Snitch-a-Lot, D'Angelo Russell. The Indiana Pacers, which the entire starting 5 were in double figures. The New Orleans Pelicans, in which the Cavs let E'Twaun Moore go for almost 30. The Orlando Magic, in which they almost lost to by 30. And the Houston Rockets, in which the game was pretty competitive. The Cavs just could not grab a rebound and save their lives down the stretch. Those losses exposed a big flaw in the Cavs' game plan, most notably their defense, or lack thereof. Let's backtrack for a moment. After the Cavs lost to the Knicks, their record was 3-4. During this 3-4 stretch, LeBron was playing pretty great, averaging his usual 28, 8, and 8, but his supporting cast was beyond terrible. J.R. Smith was shooting 17% from 3. Derrick Rose, who has never been a great shooter, was shooting 20% from 3. And D. Wade, just simply abysmal. Plus, during this stretch, the Cavs got struck with the Kardashian curse and lost a key player in Tristan Thompson with a calf injury. The Cavs trailed in the first quarter by double digits 4 times, which is the most in the NBA. They only did it 6 times in the regular season last year, which was tied for the second fewest in the NBA. Also at this point in the season, they were dead last in defensive efficiency. After the Knicks game, here's LeBron giving his thoughts on the team.
As we're missing outside shots, it sometimes leads to long defensive rebounds, bad court balance, and that's helping the other team get out and running. Is that a symptom?
Yeah, we've been pretty bad at that. Our transition defense is pretty bad. I think everything defensively. We defensive rebound when teams miss. Do a good job of that, but other than that, we're pretty bad defensively.
A couple of games passed, and the Cavs went up against the Wizards, and LeBron led the game with a season-high 57 points, 7 assists, and 11 rebounds. He had a pretty good overall game, but the defense was still terrible, allowing the Wizards to score 122 points on 53.6% shooting from the field and roughly 40% from 3. After that game, however, the Hawks came into the Quicken Loans Arena and completely dismantled the Cavs. This caused some concern to most people, being that they gave up 37 points in the first quarter alone. Now, the final score of this game was 117 to 115, which can be misleading because the Cavs never really fought all game until the end of the game, in a game where it shouldn't even been competitive to begin with. Now we get to the 5-7 mark, in which the Cavs faced the Rockets and things started to look up. You would think that with players like LeBron, Tristan Thompson, Jay Crowder, Iman Shumpert, Jeff Green, and even JR, who came up big in some games on the defensive side of the ball, this team would at least have a mediocre defense, worst case scenario. Now those collection of players, with the exception of Tristan Thompson being out due to injury, all took turns guarding James Harden. They held him to just 8 for 21 shooting from the field, but that didn't stop him from still having 35 points. Towards the closing moments of this game, the Cavs had a lineup of Jay Crowder, LeBron James, Jeff Green, J.R. Smith, and Iman Shumpert. This lineup did pretty solid. It kept them in the game, but when it came to getting stops, the Cavs were just way too small to grab a rebound over Clint Capella. Though this was just one game, it was merely a microcosm of what's been going on during the season leading up to this point. The Cavs have been abysmal on defense, and having a historically worst defense, allowing 114 points a game on 48% shooting from the field and 42% from three. Here's Ty Lue after the close loss to the Rockets.
Obviously, it didn't result in the win, but did you see your team turn the corner a bit throughout this game?
I thought we competed. I thought we got down early against a good team at home, and we fought back, took the lead, and made some adjustments. And I thought the guys really scrapped and competed. Harden, he was hard. Made some good, tough one-on-one contested threes off the dribble, which we wanted, and we contested all of them, and we made some big shots.
Now we get to the part of the season that starts to click for the team. Though the team had just lost his backup point guard, which was his starting point guard at the time in Derrick Rose, but let's be honest, it's Derrick Rose, and injury is practically his middle name at this point. The Cavs finally went streaking. Rose being on the floor in the starting lineup wasn't really benefiting the Cavs, considering that he isn't a volume shooter, doesn't space the floor, and isn't looking to generate offense. Plus, the defense was getting picked apart in pick and roll with Kevin Love at center, who we all know is a defensive liability, and there you have a recipe for a disaster trying to stop anyone getting to the hole. So out goes Rose, and in comes Jose Calderon. Yeah, initially I thought this was a terrible move for the Cavs, being that Jose is in his twilight of his career and is probably even a worse pick and roll defender than Derrick Rose, but in actuality, it helped their team defense out drastically. With Jose in the lineup, the net rating on defense went from 128 to just 108. Calderon is a great help defender and communicator when there are defensive breakdowns. His defensive awareness is definitely keen, to the point where he uses his quickness and sheer smarts to not become a liability. Much of the success of the streak is dedicated to the bench as well. Kyle Korver has pretty much been consistent with his play, averaging 10 points on 48% shooting from three, leading the league in threes made in the fourth quarter, giving him the nickname of Fourth Korver, just overall being a solid player. Jeff Green has had games where no one thought that he was capable of producing. 27 points on 11 to 15 shooting against Houston, 18 points, 3 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 1 steal against Brooklyn, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals against the Pacers. Who is this guy? Then Dwayne Wade, who stole the starting role at 2 guard from J.R. Smith, and started alongside Derrick Rose and was playing very poorly, only averaging 7 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists on less than 40% shooting from the field. Saw that a couple games in that it wasn't working, and for the betterment of the team, he should come off the bench to provide better spacing on the floor and so that he can run the second unit effectively. His stats drastically improved to 11 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 45% from the field and 40% from 3. Then LeBron's play. Now, it's not too much to say about LeBron. During the streak, he's averaged a triple-double and 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists, shooting 57% from the field and 42% from 3. Need I say more? The schedule also played a major role in the streak. The Cavs were basically playing against sub-500 and mediocre teams, and even some of the worst teams in the association, like the Mavericks, the Hawks, the Kings, and so on. Though you can get beat by any team on any given night, playing a back-to-back or 4 games in 5 nights on the road would also factor into losing, but the Cavs handled that pretty well by beating teams that are supposed to beat with just sheer talent alone. Some of these games were actually pretty competitive, which caused LeBron's play down the stretch to become glorified. It seemed like every other game he was making a timely or go-ahead bucket in the waning minutes, or making a timely assist to a teammate. He leads the league in fourth quarter scoring, and was using his patented step-back jumper from the left wing to close most games down the wire. Unfortunately, this streak came to an end when the Cavs played against the Pacers recently. This game saw Victor Oladipo going for 33 points, 20 in the third quarter, to turn the momentum back to the Pacers' favor, to put the Cavs away just by 4 points. This loss for the Cavs gave us a chance to reflect on the past 3.5 weeks, where the Cavs had a top 5 offense and a top 10 defense during the stretch. They also shot up from the bottom of the East to being the second best team in the East, behind the Boston Celtics, who have also been playing surprisingly well. The Cavs currently hold the 4th best offense and the 23rd best defense. The next step for this Cavs team is to continue to play well for the remainder of the calendar year and await the return of the 5'9" phenom himself, Isaiah Thomas. This should give the Cavs the firepower they need to compete night in and night out and alleviate some of the burden off LeBron when it comes to orchestrating the offense. If he could just ease his way into the offense and score roughly 20 to 25 points a game, the Cavs would even be more of a threat. You can tell through numerous media outlets and his enthusiasm on the bench that Isaiah is more than ready to come back on the floor. The guy literally gave his blood, sweat, and tears to an organization that traded him shortly after, Now he's even more dedicated to play up to his standard of excellence and help his team capture a ring. He's been cleared to play now, but the organization feels that it is best that he comes back fully healthy and rejuvenated and wants to play it safe from here on out. He is estimated to make a return on January 3rd against his old team, the Boston Celtics, so we all should be in for a treat. But unfortunately, it still might not be enough come playoffs and finals time. Size for the Cavs is still a big issue. Once Isaiah returns to the lineup, his size at point guard coupled with Kevin Love's size at center will be a glaring hole on defense. Teams will just literally pick and roll the Cavs to death and expose Kevin Love's inability to guard pick and rolls and the paint, which is why I believe the Cavs should desperately make a trade. Though they do have the assets and pieces to move around, like Shumpert, Crowder, Channing Frye, Kevin Love, and the first round pick, they can make trades for either Boogie or DeAndre Jordan. Boogie would provide the team with star power, an inside and outside presence, and he along with Anthony Davis are kryptonite to the Warriors because they always struggle with big man, considering that they are a perimeter-oriented team. DeAndre Jordan will be served as a better version of Tristan Thompson, taller, more athletic, a rim runner, and protector, and can hold his own when he gets switched on guards. Or trade to get a player like Nicholas Batum for better perimeter shooting and defense, kind of like the Isaiah and Avery Bradley tandem in Boston just last season, where Bradley would just guard the elite guard that night, and Isaiah could hide on the opposing team's player who isn't really a scoring threat. I doubt any of this happens come the trade deadline because moving big pieces like that mid-season could cause continuity issues and can cause unwarranted losses that could alter positioning in playoffs. With that being said, the question still stands. Can the Cavaliers win the 2018 NBA Finals? And my answer kind of wavers. As presently constructed, with Isaiah coming back, no. The Cavs would get through the East pretty convincingly, but when it comes to the finals, either playing the Golden State Warriors or maybe even the Rockets, who have been playing extremely well, it's probable, but the odds are definitely not in their favor. But if the organization can find a way to get either a solid star big man and another perimeter 3 and D player to fill alongside Isaiah Thomas in the backcourt, I give the Cavs a huge chance of bringing the title back to Cleveland for the second time in franchise history.